I've had 3 builds recently that I put up on YouTube, mostly dealing with kitchen utensils that came off from wood that I salvaged off from the firewood pile. So what's happened is, off from these videos that I put up, there's been a lot of comment about the sled I use on my bandsaw to make the first cuts on these blocks of firewood that are very oddly shaped, and they need to be held in place on so that you can take some actual real wood out of it and start working with it. And this build is to show you how to do that. Let's build this jig. Alright, what I'm doing now is marking off some lines where I'm going to be drilling some pilot holes, and I've got the board turned upside down, and I've already marked off where my miter saw guide is going to be. But prior to gluing that into place, I'm going to put a couple of countersunk pilot holes, because on the other side of this is going to be the faceplate board. And I'm going to want to be going through the bottom of the board into there just to hold it in place. And these things on the other side as well are going to be holding it in place. And I'm going to want to run probably just one screw through the faceplate into those when it comes time. You want to drill these countersinks just deep enough so that the screw heads don't interfere with the action of the skid on the plate of this bandsaw. Well, I'm going to glue on the miter gauge guide. And in fact, if you don't have a miter slot in your bandsaw, you would be omitting this step completely anyway, and hopefully you've got a way to put a fence up on your bandsaw to run this sled against. Okay, and what I'm going to do here is attach the faceplate supports to the faceplate. And the next thing to do is line the faceplates and supports up, glue and screw that into place. And next I'll put this faceplate in place with some tacks and some screws. And you need to have some way of keeping a very oddly shaped piece of wood firmly in one position while you run it through the bandsaw. And I do that with 3.5 inch decking screws. They have very sharp points on them, which works out very nicely when you need to penetrate your hardwood. And there's plenty of space so that you can put in maybe a 13 or 14 inch piece of wood, or maybe a 16 or 17 inch piece of wood. But that's it. That's the jig right there. This edge right here defines the location of the band saw, so that when it's sitting in the miter sled, this is exactly where the saw is going to be cutting. So you take your piece of wood and you line it up more or less as much as your eyeball can do, and that's where your cut's going to be. And I just happen to have a piece of firewood here. And if you can see, oh, there's a good shot. There's this shimmer right there. That would be a good spot. I'm going to square this edge up first. Okay, here I am at the bandsaw. And you can see right where that blade goes. And you have to have enough space in your blade guard, and you do have to keep it in place, to be able to pass the wood through. So let's give it a try. So there's the face, and that's not the part that I want, so it's going to turn over, and I'm going to take that off, and then I'll have a nice 90-degree corner right here. And then I'll put it up against my fence and do some resawing, which you can see that that's a pretty nice first cut on that slab. Okay, I reloaded. The cut side is down now. We'll take a second face. And the last step in this process for me is to set up a fence and set it away from your blade, some determined amount that you want your stock to be, and resaw it. And that is a pretty nice piece of wood that's ready to play with and make utensils out of, or boxes out of. Piece of firewood. So there's a pretty easy build for a jig that doesn't require really any close tolerances. You can pretty much throw this together in a few hours. It doesn't take much. But what it does allow you to do is take a very crude piece of wood, like just a split billet of firewood. It looks like it's got some promise, and you can turn it into small pieces of lumber. You can scarf join them to make them longer if you need to. You can cut them down to any size you want by resawing them and make boxes out of them. Kitchen utensils, make it your own. If you like what you see, come on back. I have some more things that I want to show you.